All right, hang tight. Okay, let's see. Okay, all right, boom, we here. Let's run it back from the top. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Sunday evening. Another edition of Knicks Weekly, episode 123. Presented by Manscaped, man. Go to manscaped.com and use our code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. The Knicks go 2-1 on the week, including some good wins over the Sacramento Kings and the Portland Trail Blazers, along with a tough 12-round fight in Golden State to round out the West Coast road trip. We're going to cap off the week, man. Recap everything that went on, the good, the bad, the ugly. Preview the week ahead. Plus an update on the captain, Jalen Brunson injury update. And then we are going to get to it. You guys have been asking for it. We're going to get to it. The James Dolan Roommates pod review and reaction, man. So lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. The number one show for the fans, by the fans. Let's go, man. Get your rally towels at KnicksFanTV.com. Playoff time is coming through. Let's go, man. Lock in. If you're rocking with this team, all 82, lock in. Let's go. All right. Let's get to it, man. All right, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. How we feeling tonight? Sunday night. Okay, YouTube, we filling up. We getting the people in here. We getting the family in here. The bat signal has been sent out. My franchise channel members in here. John Talento was good. TM, salute. Junior Caroma, the usuals are in here. How we feeling tonight, man? Nostalgic Nick, I see you in there. Always in here as well. Man, after last night, it was a long day of recovery for me, man. As y'all know, I crashed out last night. It was a long game. It was a long West Coast trip. Put a lot of energy into these post-game shows. Shout out to JD, CK, Alex. Shout out to the team. This is a long week for the squad, man. But nevertheless, we got through it. And 2-1 on the week. And 2-3 overall on the West Coast trip. So, we definitely got to get into that. Yeah, it's Election Sunday today. Shout out to the Johnnies once again. Won the Big East, and now they are the number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. So a lot of excitement here in New York. Baseball coming up soon as well. So lots going on. Salute to James Baker in the chat. Big time supporter. James, how you feeling? Randy Johnson, I see you in here. Ricky Billboard, big up yourself. Absolutely, man. I don't know if you guys ever seen these rally towels, man. There you go, for the fans, by the fans. What do you guys think about this? I had this drawn up myself, man. Like, the rally towels were a big part of our fandom. This is part of our story as Knicks fans, especially my generation, when the team was going to the playoffs year after year. And used to have the towels. They were sponsored by, like, Nobody Beats the Wiz. And they used to have different ones for the season, different ones for the playoffs. And this is what you would do as fans, man. You go to the game and wave your towel. So this was definitely a staple that we wanted to come up with on the merch store. And I started handing these out at the watch party. So it's something that kind of adds to the KFTV watch party experience. That makes it a one-of-one. It makes it a little bit fun. So yeah, Junior Caroma says it's fire. Yeah, this was the vision right here. So anyway, 2-1 in the campaign. How we feeling after last night? How we feeling like when we look back on the week? He had a good run in Sacramento. Good outing there. Good performances. McBride with the 15-point first quarter. OG. I thought OG's had a good week. This West Coast trip, OG Anunoby, he's at 21 points per game on 37% shooting from 3. He had a full squad effort in Sacramento. Blazers, they had to go toe-to-toe with the Blazers. It was a 12-round fight. Wasn't pretty, but it was gritty, right? Mikal Bridges making his statement. Coming into the game, he had the Bridges and Thibodeau static. 33 points of Bridges, including a crazy game winner. And that was incredible to see. And then, unfortunately, it ended the way that it did last night in Golden State, where, look, the Knicks defense was still playing well. Still played well. Held Golden State to under 100, only 97 points. But just too many mistakes in the final 3 minutes when they did tie the game. They tied the game in the final 3 minutes. But just too many mistakes, and they ultimately just could not slay the dragon. That was the Golden State Warriors, man. Couldn't get it done. So what are you going to do, man? But 2-1 on the campaign. Like, when I look back on the week, I'm not mad at it. They've been able to win some games without the captain. They're 2-3 on the West Coast trip. It's not an easy trip to win, especially the last one last night. That was a hard one to get through. But as many thought, with the loss of the captain, you have some silver linings. You have some additional storylines and guys who can kind of make a name for themselves and recalibrate as we head into this final month of the regular season and ultimately into the playoffs once he does come back. I like what I'm seeing from Mikal Bridges. More aggressive. Seeing a little bit more play calling going his way, especially in the Portland game. Can he keep that up? He's going to be a very important piece to this puzzle. And the big question with Bridges is going to be, how do they mix him back in once Brunson comes back? Everybody needs the ball in their hands. Everybody can't have the ball in their hands. Some people are going to have to sacrifice and do less. But make no mistake, Mikal Bridges being a shot creator and a guy who can put the ball on the floor, whose mid-range is deadly, Tom Thibodeau has to figure out how to get him going, especially when you have a bench that's as weak as the Knicks bench is. Like, when we talk about, how do we utilize this Knicks bench and the proper rotations, mixing them with the starters, it's Mikal Bridges. Get Mikal Bridges in there with this Knicks bench. So that was interesting. I talked about the dog. The dog is looking great, man, on both ends of the floor. 21 points per game for OG. 37% from downtown. I love the way he's playing right now. Very aggressive. The entire trip, the dog has been aggressive. Attacking the basket. Finishing better. Even though he finishes, on the hits the deck every time. You got to hold your breath a little bit. But he's coming out of these games unscathed, shooting the three ball well, playing some good defense. Much needed. I like the way McBride's playing. Like, if I had to talk about my standouts of this week, it's definitely Mikal, it's OG, and it's Deuce. Towns is Towns. He's going to have his good games, and he's kind of a constant for this team. But some of the guys that you want to see step up who are going to be very important to the success of this team going forward, Deuce. I like the way Deuce has been playing his defense and his shooting as well. He's been averaging about 11 points per game in this last 5 on this West Coast trip, but shooting the three ball well and defending well. He's going to be very important. Deuce's contributions now have people wondering, how is he going to be infused, especially when Brunson comes back? Does he ultimately get to start over Hart? I'm not going to go that far. But if I'm Tibbs, he's a guy that you're going to have to go to early and often and heavy minutes. Heavy minutes. When you talk about being out-coached, look, I love Hart. I like Hart. He's an X factor. He provides the intangibles for this team. But with the knee injury, and he's in a slump right now. I'm not ready to bail on him. I don't think we should be, just so quick to switch things up. But depending on the matchups, yeah, you're going to have to. Like, you're going up against Detroit in the first round, a Hart matchup might not be so bad. But then when you get to the second round and you're looking at either Boston or you're looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers, this Knicks team is going to have to match firepower and get much stronger defensively. Deuce McBride is making his case. In the beginning of the year, I wasn't so quick to say get Deuce in the starting lineup. But what I'm looking at now at the end of the year and into the playoffs going forward, he's going to be a major factor. There's no way that they're going to be able to match firepower if he's not playing major minutes in the playoffs. So the minutes distribution between Bridges, between Deuce and Hart, that might have to get tilted in Deuce's direction right now. TM, we can't start slow. Diane A, yeah, Hart will find his way. I do believe Hart will find his way. I do. And you can't teach the intangibles that he's provided for this team for over the last 3 years. You just can't teach it. It's very important. It's why he's closed a lot of games. But he has not been playing well. And so because of that, you had the friction between the two guys, between Hart and Tibbs. A lot was made of that last night in the Golden State game. What was that all about? Both players diffused the situation. Tibbs saying, hey, I love Josh. Josh saying, hey, I love Tibbs. It was just a disagreement between those two guys. Richard Jefferson, after the game, right after this was played on the broadcast, said it's a whole lot of nothing. And I tend to agree. I think a lot of fans at this moment in time are looking for reasons to break this team up and not really break this team up, but to get the coach out of here. Oh, it's a sign. It's a bad sign. It's a bad sign. I don't necessarily see it like that. There's disagreement. There's a spat. You get past it. This is the dog days, man. It's about to be money time. Pressure cooker. They should be on edge. Everybody should be on edge. Because this team has high expectations. They want to be in that conversation. They have not been there yet. And so everybody's under pressure right now. Hart, Tibbs, Bridges, everybody. Towns. Everybody was under pressure. Zach says Hart was frustrated. He knew he was off last night. Yeah, he was frustrated. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Couldn't make bunnies. But 7 rebounds, 7 assists. He contributed here and there, but just was not sharp on this West Coast trip. So just a couple things I'm thinking about there. That was, one of the storylines last night. And then in a tough loss last night against Golden State, man, the sentiment last night, by and large, by like everybody in the fan base was, I am pissed off. This was like a heavyweight matchup, and like the typical, like back in the days, back in the days, not even the heavyweights, back in the days when boxing was really in its peak. Now, some of you boxing aficionados will say, oh, it's still back. It's good right now. I'm talking about back in the days when the trash talk was on at peak levels. It was that type of thing with the Draymond and Towns situation. So just like any fight, you wanted to see your guys come out victorious. And it was right there for the Knicks. The entire game, it was right there. It was just too many mistakes. Not enough production. You had 5 guys score 4 points. That's tough. And even though their defense did show up, they held the Golden State to under 100. Game was tied. They came back, clawed back from 9 down to tie the game. Final 3 minutes, they were stumbling and bumbling. Could not get anything going in the clutch. It happens. Last game of a road trip, but with the magnitude of the moment, with the magnitude of that game, it was a hard loss to take. Even though it doesn't impact you in the standings, that one was just like, and that stung. And it carried over. The conversations carried over. But then you had this after the game. You had Karl Anthony Towns walking off. And then you had the Knicks practically celebrating Draymond Green like he was retiring. Like it was his final game of his career. So by and large, I think the majority of the fan base, they were irate after this. You couldn't win the game. And then on top of that, you're out here giving this guy a kiss, damn near. When Towns is walking, if Towns is the first one in the locker room. Now, I was on PIX 11 today. Shout out to them. And they asked me my opinion. Overall, optically, it's a terrible look for the team. It's a terrible look for the team. Especially with the coach. You got the coach arm in arm with the guy. Everybody was hugging the guy. That was bad optics, especially when he pulled that classless act against your guy. It was a classless thing. And so optically, this was not a good look. But what I've had to come to grips with in this new age of NBA is that it's not the 90s no more, man. Rivalries are dead. The pride factor, pride and wearing the jersey and what it meant. All that's out the window, man. These guys all have relationships. They've come up together from the AAU ranks to college to this to that, Olympics, all of that. It's all lovey-dovey. It's jersey sharing, jersey swaps. So, while it didn't sit well with me, I can't want it more than you guys, man. Once we saw Trey rolling the dice on our own floor, that's all you needed to know. And everybody's sitting there. The funny thing is the whole PJ Tucker thing, right? PJ Tucker. Everybody's sitting around did everybody think that PJ Tucker was coming in like Charles Oakley? When did that expectation come about? And shout out to Frank Isola. Frank's been having me rolling, man. He's been texting me nonstop about the Knicks. He put out on Twitter the showdown that everyone has been waiting for. And he shows the video, the camera angle of PJ Tucker and Draymond Green. Damn, they're brothers. And you got Nick, right? It's so funny with the PJ Tucker thing. After the Sacramento game, there was the best signing, the best buyout signing. This is what we needed. Look at him and Josh Hart doing the threes. Then after this, it was pack your bags. Don't come back on another 10-day. Get this guy out of here. The coach, all of that. What were we expecting? Charles Oakley Jr.? Look, I thought the PJ thing, he was going to come in and be a good locker room presence. Like my guy Eugene called in and said when the game was down to the wire, PJ Tucker got into the huddle and was gathering these guys up. That's what I'm expecting from PJ Tucker. But this fantasy that some fans had that this guy was just going to get 5 minutes to come in the game and throw a bow at Draymond Green, that wasn't on my bingo card. So I get the anger, the frustration from the fan base. But my bottom line at the end of the day was, you know what? If they win this game yesterday, they could have popped champagne on the court with the guy. I didn't care. I wanted the dub. That was the ultimate get back. Not the showmanship after the game. You lost. You had 2 chances to beat this team. 2 chances. You lost it. You blew it. So what else can we do? Next level. Everyone in sports are their best friends. Rivalries are dead, man. I can't want it more than you guys want it. And clearly, we don't. Clearly, the relationship with Draymond Green is so important that everybody had to make him feel that way after the game. Clearly, everybody felt like we've got to acknowledge this guy in game 66 like this is his farewell tour. So have at it. I said my piece on the matter. All I wanted to do was see him win. They didn't get the job done. They choked in crunch time. What are you going to do? David Duncan, I miss enforcers. I do too, man. It's just a different day and age. It's just a different day and age, man. Julian Plum in the chat says, you sound soft. Well, thank you, sir. This wine is extra tasty as well, man. Thank you. Happy Sunday to you. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. You're always in here anyway. So that was the week. 4 games up on the Milwaukee Bucks with 16 left to go. When you look at the strength of schedule, Knicks are about 15 left in terms of opponent strength of schedule. And then Milwaukee's at about 12. But here's the thing. March 28th is a date to circle for the Knicks and the Bucks. That's the last game that they play. But remember, this is why I say regular season games matter. Season series, you always got to take that into consideration because the Knicks already put these guys in the rearview mirror when it comes to those season series. So now the Bucks have to catch them and then surpass them. You can't tie. Knicks already up 2 in the season series with 1 left. And they're up 4 in the loss column. So they're in a good spot. And the season is good. I mean, the schedule is going to get, quote unquote, a little bit lighter for the Knicks. You have, salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. You have, let me just pull this up here. Let's pull up the schedule. Tomorrow against Miami, Monday against Miami, home against Miami. Then at San Antonio, no Wemby. Then at Charlotte versus the Wizards. All competitive games. Versus Dallas, a heavily decimated team. Home versus Dallas, home versus the Clippers. Then you got the at Milwaukee game, March 28th. And then home against Portland. That's how you round out the rest of the month. Winnable games. So they should be in a decent spot. What do you guys think in the chat? So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Should be getting lighter. And they've got more than enough talent to win these games. I'm not worried about these games. Now, other course of business is the status of the captain. Now, when after, the weekend after or the week after the LA game, after the injury, I told you guys, I got the text, read the text. I told you guys, this is going to be a lengthy recovery process. Could be all the way up to the playoffs. That was a text I got. Could be. Right? Now, Shams came out and said the 2 weeks. And they'd be like, oh, you're wrong. It's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. Now, what happened yesterday, you got Shams doubling back saying, well, it could be a little bit longer, like 3-4 weeks, end of March into April. At minimum is what Shams said. All right? So if you guys like the Shams ice, there it is. It's in the freezer for you. I already gave you the lowdown. And at the end of the day, it makes sense for Brunson to rest it up and get stronger. If this was a case where he gets injured and it's 2 weeks before the playoffs, then you say, all right, rush it up, pad it up, but just know that he's going into the playoffs with maybe some more swelling or a little bit of weakness in the ankle. But now the Knicks need to take the opportunity to get him stronger. You need a captain at 100% so he can go back out there and kill. You need him at 100%. So I don't see any reason to rush him back. Maybe if it's the last week of the season, like kind of ramp him up before you get to playoff intensity. But other than that, I think they should leave the captain on ice, man. WAP all the time says, believe it or not, this is good for everybody, gets more time to play. I believe so. And figure out who from that bench is coming with us. Because right now, we talked about this on the show last night. If Tibbs is going 7-8, I'm looking Deuce, I'm looking Mitch. And maybe it's Shamet, man. Because Payne is he's just too loosey-goosey. Precious. It's going to be hard to figure out where he even fits in the playoffs. Maybe for some front court depth if Towns gets into foul trouble. Yeah, if Towns gets into foul trouble and Mitch is still kind of trying to figure himself out from a conditioning standpoint, then you kind of break glass with Precious. But I think that bench rotation right now, I'm telling you, man, Deuce has to play a lot of minutes. Has to play a lot of the minutes. Skilo says Tibbs ain't playing none of the youth. Well, that's not for the playoffs, but at the same time, with the lighter schedule ahead, yeah, I want to see Kolick, I want to see Dadier. I want to see Beauchamp. I'd like to see Beauchamp get some run. Forget about McCullers. McCullers is next year. David Duncan, we need a wing off the bench. Yeah, I want to see Beauchamp, man. If for some reason, I don't know if he was injured last night in the Golden State game, but for some reason, he was in street clothes last night, so I'm not sure what happened there. And then who saw post game last night? I told you the Block Ness Monster was going to pull up at some point. I was just checking the IG. He pops in on the IG lives. Shout out to Mitch. And Mitch is saying, hey, I still got a ways to go conditioning wise. He felt like he was putting in a lot of work last night. Everybody noticed that he was winded. He was gassed. So Mitch said, hey, listen, I had to cover a lot of ground last night. I'm still working on my condition even after the games. And remember, this is only the 6th game in for the Block Ness Monster. So we got to give him some time to ramp up and get up to speed. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last night was his 7th game. No, 6, because he missed the Clipper game. He didn't play in the Clipper game, so he only played 6 games. So you really got to give Mitch, let him finish out the season and see where he's at. JJ said he got out of breath just typing. Shout out to Mitch, friend of the program. So yeah, so the Block Ness Monster has to get up to speed. And the Celtics Nick said Mitch pulled up and pressed JD. Yeah, he did. He did. Shout out to JD, man. He definitely did. But yeah, man, you know what I like about Mitch? He, like, whatever said is said. You know, whatever our opinions are, it is. But he still shows up and supports. I like that with Mitch. Mitch understands that it's nothing personal when fans have their opinions. We never get personal with him, and he understands that. So he's been KFTV fan since our inception. Nostalgic Nick. Yeah, it's funny. That was funny. So to all my franchise channel members, man. J. Cole, I see you in here. Salute. Rare Edition. Oh, boy. Rare Edition. He's throwing the towel in. Says, we ain't making it past the 2nd round. Yo, man, just lock in. Are y'all all 82 or not, man? Are we all 82 or not, man? Boy, oh boy. What a difference a couple years makes. And we're going to get into this Dolan Roomates pod in a minute. But what a difference a couple years makes. Last year, 2 years ago, we were gung-ho, get the 4th seed. Maybe we could get the 3rd seed. Maybe we get the 5th seed. Now it's like, man, like now that's not even good enough for y'all. We ain't going to make it. We ain't going to make it. Like, come on, man. I'm not even sure why y'all watch. Y'all panic watching out here, man. If you all 82 in the chat, throw me a hashtag all 82 in the chat, man. Gotta enjoy the ride, P. McGee. I mean, boy, oh boy. Now it's a zero-sum game with some of you guys. Yes, AP, there are expectations, no doubt about it. But this game still got to be played, my man. You still got to go out there and play the games. Anything is possible in the playoffs. I say it all the time, and I believe it. I believe it. If you want to call me up in the KFTV Discord, go ahead, man. I'm here as well. Sunday night. Vibing, solo, dolo. Oh, we got some people in the lounge, man. We do got some people in the lounge. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Let me load up my guy. Tom from Huntington in the building. I didn't get to him last night. Last night was a long night, so I had to pull the plug on the show. But Tom from Huntington, if you are there, go ahead and unmute your mic. Are you there? Okay. I don't know if Tom is there, so I'm gonna drop him off.
Hello?
Yo, there you go, man. What's up, man? How you feel, man?
Oh my goodness. Good evening.
Yeah.
First of all, salute to you. Salute to everybody in the chat.
Salute to you, my
Number
good
one
man.
show for the fans by the fans. We're all 82, so
Yeah.
if anybody's not putting up 82, there's something obviously wrong with them.
Yeah.
I really quick, because you rapid fire, you had a long night last night. I know you're busy. Really quick, am I the only one that when I see the Draymond car commercial, I'm actually rooting for the lion?
For the wolf?
For the wolf?
Yeah, I'm rooting for the wolf.
Me too. I mean, I can't. I just can't take him. And
Yeah.
another thing, I don't know what's worse, the commercial or the Josh Hart jump passes. If I see one more of those things, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's
lose my
brutal.
mind.
It's brutal.
Like I was
Brutal.
throwing things at my television. I just can't take it. It's like that jump pass is driving me crazy. Like, come
Yeah.
on, stop.
I feel
And
like the dog days of the season are kind of wearing on Josh right now, man.
yeah, and
Yeah.
honestly, I wasn't really feeling. Also, I didn't really pay attention like that. But afterwards, and hearing you earlier right now, like it's a different game nowadays. Back in the days, you think if somebody insulted Patrick, like his teammates would be shaking hands and hugging them. I mean,
Oh,
PJ
the
Tucker was
X-Man would be
embracing.
putting people in a sleeper hold.
Thank you. And PJ Tucker, Mr. Machismo, he's like him and Jimmy Butler. They're like embracing. I don't even know what the hell that was.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is like it's just a different game. You know what I mean? I just listen. People are going crazy. People need to relax. We're gonna be okay. Okay. Listen, we're not perfect. We have holes, but so does everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
This is
like I
true.
said, listen, rapid fire. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll definitely talk soon. Sorry, I've been away for a while, but
Oh, good.
I'm back. I listen to every show. Okay, every show.
Sure. I
All right?
know you don't miss a show, man. I know you're here with us, man.
It's listen. Love it. Love is here. Here is love. Tom from Huntington.
Let's
Rapid
go.
fire, baby.
Let's
Have a
go.
good night. Good talking to you.
Tom from Huntington on the check-in. Yeah, you heard him, man. Never misses a show. Shout out to Tom from Huntington. And as he said, salute to our sponsor of tonight's show, Manscaped. Hey, fellas, man, don't be out there caught lacking. The weather's starting to heat up. So that means we're shifting from the Van Gundy to the Jordan. Remember that. Remember those sayings. I'm the king of the catchphrases. We're shifting from the Van Gundy to the Jordan. I don't got to explain it to you. No testimonials. You just got to use your imagination. So with that being said, go to manscaped.com and purchase one of the amazing tools from the number one tool for the fans by the fans, and the number one tool both above and below the waist, and that is with Manscaped, man. You got so many different razors. From the Lawnmower 5.0, the Signature Lawnmower 5.0, you have the Handyman, the Close-Knit Shaver, the Beard Hedger Kit. For those of you that got, beards, you want to get your beard tight, so on and so forth. Plus, a bunch of solutions from body wash, shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, ball deodorant, foot deodorant. So there's really no excuse to not have your whole image clean and trim, fellas. So use our code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. And they ship to many, many locations around the world. So for our friends in the European region, go ahead and get that. Our friends in APAC, Singapore, we got you covered over there. Carlo, you might be good over there, man. So make sure use our code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. And always remember, no testimonials. Okay? No testimonials there. All right, let's get to a couple more calls and we'll get to the Roommates pod with James Dolan. A couple of interesting things from there. Rapid fire, Lady D 2778. Lady D 2778. Are you there? Do we have Lady D 2778? Okay, we'll put her on mute. Tigre, go ahead and unmute your mic, Tigre.
Yo, what's going on?
How you feeling, fam?
Feeling good, man. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
It's my third time on the show. Thanks for having me on again.
Sure.
I watch the show all the time, so it's nice to be on.
Sure.
Yo, speaking of being nice to being on, yo, what is it like having Mitch pop onto your show mid-show, man? That's crazy.
Yeah. Look, man, the Block This Monster, he's a friend of the program. We chop it up here and again online, and when we first started the show, I remember we got some sound bites from him, but he's a big friend of the program. We got a lot of players that tap in, a lot of player families that tap in, past and present. And I don't know if you were a fan of the show at the time last year. Mitch's grandfather, his grandparents called in on the show.
Yeah, I seen that. I seen him in the Discord too.
Yeah, and his pops has left comments. So yeah, it's a family show,
cool,
man. We
man.
say it's a family
That's
show. It's
cool.
a family show, man.
I remember back in the day, you would add a player, and there would be no chance in HE double hockey sticks that they would even look at your page.
Yeah.
I add Josh Hart. I add Campaign. They all be looking at my page. It's pretty cool, man. I can't lie.
Yeah, 100%, man. But this is it's a for the fans by the fans movement, so you can't miss it.
Absolutely. But yo, I gotta say, man, it's nice seeing the Twin Towers out there. I can't lie. I really can't. It's different. It's a nice taste.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he went to it early in the game yesterday, did Tibbs.
Yep.
And I think, obviously, the intention is going to be, let's see a little bit more of it, because you can never have too many looks. You want to give teams different looks. You want to have optionality. And obviously, you want to help Karl-Anthony Towns back there defend the front court. So now it's just up to Mitch to get up to speed, get his conditioning right, and hopefully we can see it at maximum effort at different intervals in the playoffs.
Yeah, man. I mean, he said it yesterday. He's gonna be working on that cardio, so that'll be nice to see him out there longer.
Yeah.
On top of that, Tom from Huntington, he brought up a really good point.
Yeah.
Those Josh Hart with those jump pass balls, man, it's killing him. He's gonna get a travel or something doing that, because sometimes players aren't always where you think they're gonna be exactly. So I think I saw 1 or 2 turnovers last night like that.
Yeah, I think he's just slumping, man. He's probably just a mental mind thing with him. It's interesting with Hart, because sometimes he'll make some really boneheaded plays, and then he'll make some really smart plays. It's very interesting. One thing's for sure, man. That boy hustles. Yeah. Yes. That is correct.
I feel like the slump really started once you found out about the knee injury. I had no clue about the knee injury until he said anything, and it's like,
I agree.
You hear it and then you see it, and it's concerning, because it's translating to the play-by-play kind of thing. Because look at him and Tibbs. There's obvious disagreement about running the play, and not for nothing, going 0 for 7 last night. I think that's not a good look, bro.
Yeah.
I think his best strength is coming off the bench as his original spot. When we first got him, he was coming off the bench, if I'm not mistaken, and he was doing phenomenal.
He was. He definitely was. But I mean, let's give him credit too. Last year, when he had to start in Julius's absence, he was great in the playoffs.
Showed up.
He was great.
He rose to the occasion.
And he did in his first playoff. Remember when he came in with the team on the trade deadline? He was shooting like 50% from 3 for like a month. And we like, yo, this guy's beasting. Yeah. Then at the end of the season, he was shooting bricks and got the confidence yips again. And then remember that Cleveland game, in Cleveland, game 1, who hit the biggest shot of the night? Josh Hart. It's Josh Hart to win that game 1 in Cleveland, man. So that's why I say don't count him out. We're still gonna need heavy deuce, but I'm not counting out Josh Hart, man. He knows the assignment. He'll step up when he needs to.
And not for nothing, totally different team from then and now. So I understand everything. And I'm gonna be real, man. A lot of people coming down hard on Tibbs, but you know what, Tibbs. One thing I've noticed is we needed a point guard at one point, and we finally got a point guard, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
At one point, we were saying, let's get a good coach. We had Mike Woodson and D'Antoni and all these other guys who were good, but they weren't solidified as great. We have a great coach right now. A lot of people complain about whether it be the minutes or just the plays. But honestly, man, I've been watching ball for a little minute now. I've been watching the Carmelo days were my heydays, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Melo. Yeah.
Tibbs gets a bad rep for Derrick Rose, but being realistic, aside from that, he is one of the great coaches that are in the league today. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
I'm happy with Tibbs. I know he got that extension, so people saying pack your bags, all this, all that. He ain't going nowhere, not for a little minute. So people got to be realistic,
Yeah. Well, listen, man, they're probably gonna hail you up with tomatoes in the chat, but I appreciate you standing on the square, man.
It's all good. I watch the game. I try to watch every game. Take what I can from it. I want to go to MSG ASAP, but tickets is expensive. But I definitely, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Call back anytime, man. Where you at? You in the city or are you out of New York?
Nah, I'm in Long Island, New York.
Man. So then, man, you just jump on the LIRR, pull up to the watch party, man. Closest thing to it.
Where's that at?
We're gonna be at Slate, my man. 54 West 21st Street. 54 West 21st Street. And this year we might have some surprises. I'll just let y'all know that. Last year we had Starberry pull up.
Cool.
It was crazy.
You know what?
Just come through, man. Yeah.
I'm heavy on IG, so if you post it on IG, I'll definitely see it, and it's more likely I'll pop out.
Let's do it.
My man, thank you for having me on.
Anytime, man. Tigre on the Discord. Yeah, shout out to everybody on LI, man. 516-631. Ran into I was picking up my wine yesterday. I ran into a KFTV fan. I was at Roosevelt Field yesterday, recruiting a KFTV fan. And he was one of those, everybody knows those Knicks fans. He was a self-admitted Knick hater because of all the losing. And, he was a bandwagon guy. He jumped on with the Heat. So he was kind of like younger generation that was rocking with the Heat when they was winning with LeBron. So I had to convert him, I had to convert him because he was like, yeah, I was rocking with the Heat, but I've just been coming to my senses, and I really want to start liking the Knicks. I'm just like, dude, you sound pathetic. It was one of those, that meme when Batman's slapping Robin around, like, get your act together, man. It was one of those things. I'm just looking at him like, this is pathetic. But anyway, he says, all my homies are Knicks fans. All my homies are diehard Knicks fans. I'm like, all right, well, tap in, because I guarantee you look me up on IG, all your homies are following KnicksFanTV. Lo and behold, he had his eureka moment. All his close homies are following KnicksFanTV. I said, yo, hit that follow button. I'm out of here, man. Grab little man who got up at it. I'm not buying no phones. I got a phone already. Just go follow them. Go follow the page. You know what I mean? One of those. Every generation had them. Back in the day, people in your family was rocking with the Bulls. Then they started rocking with the Heat. Get out of here, man. All 82. All 82. But anyway, man, as we talk about, playoffs, we talk about watch party. Yo, listen, we're gonna get our playoff theme again going this year. Remember last year we had the voting going on, and last year's playoff theme was New York versus the world. Remember that. We had a lot of, people. There was a lot of debate about put them in the trunk and all of that, but we finalized on New York versus the world. So that was last year's playoff theme merch. I'm rocking the hoodie right now. Got the little rat eating the pizza. That was a great design. The sewer logo with the KFTV joint on there. That was a hard design that we created. So we're gonna do it again this year. This is for the diehards, all 82. So I'll put the announcement out there in the community tab, and I want to hear your suggestions. What should this year's theme be? And then we're going to put it out there. The target goal is to have our 25 merch ready, playoff merch ready for April 1st. And then we'll go out there and get it. We still do have, because we ended up doing a last minute restock of some of the 2024 joints. So we still do have some various sizes of it on the KnicksFanTV shop. So just go to KnicksFanTV.com and you can look up the New York versus the world joints. And we got everything basically on sale right now from the 2024 and the 2023. We still got some 2023 tees left. 2023 one was Vibes Were Immaculate. 24 was New York versus the world. So 2025, let me know what you guys think. But if you guys still want them, you could still get a couple left. We got a couple left on the KnicksFanTV.com. The t-shirts are going for $20, and we got them in white and in black in various sizes. This one was a good one, man. This one was a really good one. Shout out to the artist we were working with, and this is it. Hey, so for the Julius Hive, for the Hartenstein Hive, yeah, that was a fly design that we made. So we're gonna do even better this year. And like I said, we got them still available in white and in black. So go ahead and get them while supplies last. Because once it's gone, it is gone. Once it's gone, it is gone. Okay? All right, cool. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up on the feed, boys. The James Dolan Roommates podcast. Let's get into it, man. Back by popular demand, the reaction show. You guys wanted to hear about it. So let's get into it, man. This was James Dolan on the Roommates pod. I ended up getting the YouTube premiere so we could skip through the commercials. So this was the first topic. James Dolan sitting down with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. Let me make sure I got my volume proper so we could, do this properly here. All right, this is the first topic on Player Podcast. Here we go.
I do have a question for you. With light of podcasts, being a hot topic in the NBA the last couple of days, What was your initial thoughts when you learned JB and myself were creating a podcast?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was fine. I mean, you guys are, your personalities, right? People want to know what you're thinking, right? They see what you do, right? So they want to hear what you think and what your take is. I think your fans, I think love it. You got a lot of people who listen to this, don't they? We aren't just doing this for us, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think those fans, they're like any other fans. They want to identify with you. They want to, they hear you say something and they latch onto it. I know what that is. That happened to me when I was a kid too, right? Something like that. And that's what fans want. They want closeness. They want to be able to identify with you. So it's totally cool. As long as it doesn't take away from practice, hitting your threes and your free throws. No,
I think I'm having a career year from the free throw line. I will say that.
Really?
Career
Yeah.
period.
Career period.
All right, so I'm going to pause that. So that was Dolan basically saying, hey, listen, I have no issues with it. And this was Jalen Brunson's reaction to it. They played the Perkins soundbite that we reacted to on Worst Take a couple weeks ago. So here's Brunson's reaction to Perkins' comments that Brunson and Josh should put the pod down. Here's Brunson.
Much worse things.
Let me go back a little bit. Right here.
You're moving around.
So I'm going to say this. There are much worse things you could be doing than having a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things that go on, right, that are much worse than sitting here and talking with you guys about stuff or whatever. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Y'all can drag that. Y'all can figure out whatever y'all want to figure out, but
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny because we can sit there, we can be talking about somebody, and they can be like, man, this dude, like someone tweets about a reporter, be like, yeah, he said he was at home just kicking it, playing video games for 4 hours. No one bats an eye. Oh, he played video games for 4 hours. Cool.
I agree. There are times of that. But I feel like as a professional athlete, when you're caught or when you're like posting about something that's other than your profession, like your main thing, like remember everyone kept saying, oh, whenever the new Call of Duty comes out, Kyler Murray is not as locked in, right? So now he has that narrative on him, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
There are players like Harden, like who's known for going out, like, right? It's a known thing. Like there's, no matter what you do, if it's not your profession, someone's gonna be saying something like, you need to be focusing on your profession. Like, I put my heart, blood, and tears into this, right? I'm gonna go crazy if this is the only thing I think about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put myself through hell. Right? I need some type of getaway. Sometimes we golf, right? During the playoffs, now we're like, all right, during the series, we're not talking about this. Whatever. After the series, we can have a check-in. All right. But like I just find it funny how like we're supposed to just like go to the gym, come home, just sit on the couch and just like wait for the next day.
All right, so that was the captain, and look, that last part right there that's good for me. During the playoffs, when you're in the midst of the battle, put it to the side. When you're done with the round, all right, you want to jump on, recap, whatever. You want to get Tracy Morgan in there, Kaka and Kiki it up. Okay, cool. But that was what you remember when me and JD talked about it. That's what I said. Like when the playoff time comes, put it to the side. And it's not because, at least from my perspective, I can't speak for anybody else. It's not because, they shouldn't have an outlet, because absolutely they should. We're all human. We all should have our outlets. Their investment in the pod in terms of time is really negligible when you think about all the other things that they have to do. Remember, even during the playoffs, I'm sure these guys still have promotional responsibilities, marketing responsibilities, community service stuff that they probably got to do, maybe to a lighter extent. So I don't think the podcast is that big of a deal. However, in this state of increased expectations, the optics, you always got to think about the optics. And Dolan, Dolan's not going to say that to them. But Dolan, of all people, should know, who runs an operation that is very tight on PR and how things look. You got to be cognizant of that. You do whatever you want to do when you're done practicing in your off time. But, if you're going up against Detroit and Cade is busting your ass and you're down 3-2, yeah, keep Vinny from Sopranos. We'll reschedule with you. That's all. But the captain did address that, and I thought he said it the correct way. Playoff time, put it to the side. When it's over with, we do a little recap. So there you go. What do you guys think in the chat? Leave some comments in there. So that was them on the podcast thing. This was an interesting comment just from Dolan on the whole. They get into a lot of, state of the team and where things are, but I like this overall comment from Dolan in regards to the Player Podcast and just in terms of how he feels the team should be operating. Here's his comment here.
Is that, I think we have a team that's going to be together for a while, right? Mm-hmm. Leon's done a good job, right, of he's lined up the contracts and everything else. So this team's this isn't our only season. And it's not, so we're going to play a bunch of seasons together, right? And you take a look at teams like Boston, right? That have played together, right, et cetera, and they get to draw off of something that they built over that period of time. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, for this team, right, that's the challenge really like today, right? Going into the playoffs, et cetera, is to build that inside of the team, something we can draw on, something that and I think that in order to do that, first thing you have to have is a belief that you can win, that you can win any game, that you can win the championship. You really, really believe that, right? Then you aren't going to worry about podcasts, right? You're going to worry about how you're playing with the other guys, how you're running a play, how you're how the communication is going, et cetera. What you can do that will be even better, right? I mean, with Mitch coming in, there's a lot that still can be done. Yep. So I expect to see maybe some more alley-oops, right? But it changes the defense. So how are we going to rework the defense? I think this team, and everybody on it focuses on those things and just give them time, right? And I think it will happen.
Yeah, he said a lot there. Let's unpack. He said Leon is doing a good job. Vote of confidence for Leon. Okay? He has a long-term, at least, long-ish term in terms of how this thing is being built. He's got confidence in Leon. He pointed to the Celtics, how long it took them to get their chip together with Tatum and Brown. It took them, 6 to 8 years. A lot of tinkering with the lineups, with the rosters, from Kemba to Kyrie to Drew Holiday to this, that, and third. A lot of guys came in and out of that Boston rotation. Marcus Smart, Marcus Morris, Brad Stevens to Udoka to Mazzulla. So Dolan understands that the foundation has to be built and you got to let it marinate. And what he say? We're going to be doing this thing for a while. Now, some of you still might not be coming along for the ride long term, Julius. But with a core, we're going to tinker around that core until we get this thing right. So Dolan is in this thing for the long haul, I believe. And with the job that Leon is doing right now, I think he believes in it. Now, he talked about Mitch. I'm with him. We need more Gotham lobs to the Block Ness Monster. For some reason, JB can't find Mitch for the Gotham lob. Some of you guys like to see, the simulation is flying all over the place in Milwaukee right now. We'd like to see that here with the Blocknet sponsor. And like you said, defensively, things can improve. So I thought those were pretty interesting sound bites there from James Dolan. Now, here is the next part. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. CP the franchise here. Hit that thumbs up on it for you boys. We are reacting to the Roommates pod, the James Dolan interview. It's a good job so far by James Dolan. And I think overall, this was a good setting for him to get a little bit more popular with the fan base. His reputation has been through the mud over the last 20 years between the decisions and the force himself on the trade, getting too involved. Your reputation precedes you. And I thought this was a better setting. Like the last time he was interviewed, it was on the Michael K show. He's bringing a clipboard with the prepared notes. He didn't come off as fluid. I like this setting that he did with the captain and Josh Hart. And he sounded pretty good. I thought he came out well on this one. But here he goes on the expectations. Here we go.
The smartest way to hire.
I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit, on other episodes of the podcast of like, this is, like I said, you, Leon, have done a great job of putting the team together. And now it's time to mesh. And, in New York, there's so much excitement. Sometimes you just want it now. But they'll realize, like, this is
You think New Yorkers are like that?
Yeah, exactly. But this is something that, like you said, is the first year, and we're going to continue to build. And I think that's like, it takes time to everyone to mesh. And especially, with Cat coming in, right before training camp. It's not like we had a whole summer to, connect with him and build camaraderie with him. So it was relatively new. So
he didn't even practice the first couple of practices because the trade hadn't gone through yet.
Yeah.
So I mean, that put us. I don't want to say put us behind the 8 ball, but like it delayed us a little bit.
And yet you still came out of the box pretty hot.
Yeah.
I thought you did.
It was.
I mean, there were games where we looked like, all right, this team's gonna be good, and there were games where like, all right, what are we doing? I think we started I think we're 5-6 at one point.
Was that when the Utah loss? Was that early? Like that first 10, 15 games?
Yeah, probably. I hate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
The elevation?
Yeah, going to Utah is never a fun game. But it was like, they were in that first 10, 15 games, like you could see like there were spurts where it was like, okay, we see what we kind of have, but like they just weren't consistent throughout. And the consistency is the one that takes the time. Everyone just sees the spurts and they're like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. But it's like, it takes time. It takes going through adversity to build that, connectiveness. And
So I think the fans see it, a little like you see it. I mean, they don't have to do what you have to do, right? But I think they see it, right? And they see that. That's why I think they're so excited, right? And yes, they want it yesterday. Right?
I mean, you said it in the last show, but this feels, at least to you guys, like the first season in a little while where there's been like real expectations. And obviously you're feeling kind of like the double-edged nature of that sword, right? The good and the bad.
Right.
It's like when you guys win a few games, it's like the Knicks are contenders. You lose a few games, the Knicks are fraud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But like, that's, like I said, like you can't, either you listen to both and like you internalize it, or like you block out both. Like you can't just listen to the positive and think, oh, I'm not going to listen to the negative. It doesn't work like that because you're going to.
All right, so that was them talking about the expectations of this year. And Dolan said, hey, listen, the fans have been enjoying the journey. Well, James, sure, in the beginning. But that's game number 62. Boy, oh boy, pressure is busting pipes. But it's just like these guys said, at this first sign of a winning streak, it's this team is it. We're in the right direction. We just got to get Mitch back and a couple of bench. We're right. And then a couple losing streaks. All hell is breaking loose. They're never going to win it. Leon destroyed the team. Tibbs stinks. It's all over the place. So yeah, to Matt's point, I think some fans are still enjoying the journey, but the expectations is putting a lot of pressure on this fan base, man. A lot of pressure. I still think they're in a great spot, man. This is just year one of the journey, man. So you still got to enjoy it. What do you guys think, man? What do you guys think about the expectations and the way that this season has been going? 66 games in at the time of this recording. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Next weekly episode 122 presented by Manscaped. We are reacting to the James Dolan interview on the Roommates podcast. Okay, so that was that on the expectations. Now, this was an interesting convo with James Dolan as they talked about that's different mindsets between him and the Rangers. Dynasties with the new rules in the NBA with the second aprons and things of that nature. They were asking him about, how's it different in terms of running the Knicks and running the Rangers. Dolan's main take was that in hockey, you just have to deal with the hard cap. But in the NBA, it's a little bit more difficult. So then they get into the conversation of dynasties, and I thought this one was pretty interesting. Here we go.
It just don't ever get there.
Do you feel like the implementation of the two aprons helps in that sense, and that it makes it really hard to have a dynasty over 5 years because of how expensive it is?
Oh, I think it's hard to have a dynasty over 5 years. Yeah.
It's been like,
I mean, this is not somebody who's speaking from experience. I'd be happy to have a dynasty for 1 year at this point.
I feel that.
How about this year or next year?
Yeah.
I would like there hasn't been a repeat champion in what, since the Warriors?
That's the Warriors, yeah.
That's the Warriors,
It's
right?
been different teams and winning every year. So I mean, it keeps it interesting. I just think that it's.
And there's different
It's a
ways to
totally different
develop
ballgame.
a team too. I mean, that's part of what you see. I mean, like our team approach, right? Is much more what I would call a team approach, right? Whereas I mean, you take a look at like Golden State or Denver, it's basically 2-3 players at the most, right? And then everything else switches out over time, right? It's those 2 or 3 guys are the team, and I think with our team, I mean, it's whole team. I always loved the old Detroit team. They had great players, but no superstars, no superstars, right? I mean, and they won a championship, and the way they won that championship was team play, right? I mean, the way they passed that ball was amazing.
You think about 04. It was like Chauncey Billups,
Chauncey Billups, right?
Ben Wallace,
That,
Rick
that,
Hamilton.
that,
Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince,
yes,
Rip
right.
Hamilton.
That team,
Yeah.
right. Who was the coach? Was
Is it Larry?
yeah,
Larry Brown?
Larry Brown, right? That team when they played, I mean, and I think they, I mean, just the way they played, they had 5 guys on the floor, and all 5, right? It wasn't feeding all one guy, etc.
So
So what was so funny about this was, he was like, yo, yeah, the Detroit team was so good. I liked them. And then he goes, who's the coach? James, you hired the coach. Because things were so bad in New York that Jimmy D said, I need to go get Larry Brown from the Detroit Pistons to turn this roster that Isaiah has no idea what he's doing with into some sort of competent team. So they went out and got Larry Brown. So I thought that was funny. He was like, who was the coach again? Yes, Mr. Dolan. It was Larry Brown, the guy who you went after. And who came in and left in disgrace. But look, this is the thing. When people are like, man, Dolan, he ruins a team. Who remember? This was back in 2005, 2006. Who would have really thought that going out and getting Larry Brown was a bad idea? I thought this was the best thing that he could have done. We're going to get defense in here. We're going to get Larry Brown and Coach Marbury up, and we're going to be running and gunning. I thought this was brilliant. And it turned out to be a disaster to where the guy didn't last more than 1 year. Dolan packed his bags up and did not want to pay him the $40 million left of his contract. He goes 23-59 with the Knicks. This was an article from Howard Beck at the time. The Knicks hired Brown with considerable fanfare and optimism last July. Although they kept expectations modest, team officials figured Brown, who was both NCAA and NBA championships, would reverse a half-decade of failure. But instead, he exacerbated the franchise's misery. Dolan wanted specific assurances from Brown that he would change his behavior because he would go out into the media, losing games by the dozen, alienating his players, and engaging in a public war of words with Stephon Marbury. Shout out to Steph, friend of the program. When Brown wavered, Dolan decided to fire him. So that was pretty brutal. And remember this comment from Channing Frye on the Larry Brown situation. Remember this comment here from Channing Frye. Let's play this. Here we go.
Cocky little 22-year-old.
Hold on. I gotta refresh this. Hold on. Here we go.
Team so dysfunctional. You would tell me, Channing, you're doing great. You're gonna get some minutes, blah blah blah, and then I'd be ready, and then I wouldn't play the whole game. We had the most starting lineups in the history of the league. 40 starting lineup. There were games where we didn't even know who was starting with 30 minutes left to go on the clock. I was started to be like a face-up jump shooter, do my thing. Mm-hmm. I remember the day after I scored 30 on the number one pick, Andrew Bogut, who had a great career. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I had a thing because I was like, I should have been the number one pick, right? You know, cocky little 22-year-old. Yeah. I had 30 that day on jumpers. I was moving, I was shaking. So the next practice, coach goes, Channing, you can't shoot any more jumpers. Everyone on the team is like, don't listen to him. He's just saying it. He was like, no. If you shoot a jumper, you're going to go sit on the side. David Lee is guarding me. He backs up 5 feet. I dribble and kick the ball out. He goes, good job, son. I have never been a part.
So that was Channing Frye breaking it down. This was an old clip. This clip went viral. This clip went super viral on Instagram. 11,000.2 likes on this one. This was back in June. This was actually a repost on Instagram. And so that was Channing Frye ripping Larry Brown. And then Steph jumped in the comment section and said, Larry Brown thought he was the master who whipped people's asses if they didn't do what he said, or he would become a source in the newspaper spreading nonsense to people like Stephen A. Smith, his son. And that got 843 likes on Instagram. Shout out to Steph for his engagement and commentary on the matter. Hey, man, sometimes things just don't work out. They just don't work out. I thought Dolan's, he was, his intentions were good in terms of the Larry Brown situation. Sometimes it just don't work out. Like, who thought that was going to be a bad idea when they got him? Sometimes it just don't work out, man. So I thought that was funny. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, here we go. This is still on the team building front. Let me make sure I got this. Is this it? Team building. No. Okay. All right. Here we go. Still on the team building front. This is Dolan on the current state. Here we go.
Feeding all one guy, etc.
So I'm talking about building teams. Obviously, this summer was an active summer for us. So what goes through your mind when it's like, okay, here's time to really make a push to make these moves to enhance the team?
Well, look, it's all Leon, right? I am not the architect of this team. Leon Rose is the architect of the team. Him and Coach and Wes is in there too, right? But they come to me, right? And when they first started and they had an idea of what they could do, and they said, this is what we're going to try and do. And they keep coming back and say, well, we're modifying this or doing this.
Notice he said Leon, Wes, and Coach. And Coach. Okay.
Et cetera. But, mostly I'm signing the checks, right? And,
thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank the fans. They're the ones that let me do it. But And the other thing I sort of do with, both hockey and with basketball is to say, okay, here's what you told me last year. Here's what you're telling me this year. How do the two jibe with each other? Are you making a significant change? Why are you doing it? It doesn't mean you can't, right? But I will sort of hold them to their plan, right? It's been really easy with Leon. He didn't really veer off the plan at all. He just looked for opportunities. But I mean, in the end, we're together on it, right? And we go forward. And I think it's like I said before. I mean, this team's going to be together for a while now. They've architected it that way, and I think now we work on the team has to work with the coach and develop familiarity, right? That extra gear, right, that comes from knowing each other and playing with each other for so long, right? That that's what we wanted to see happen.
But have you always been that way when it comes to?
So we'll break that up and we'll get back to this. He said Leon, Wes, and Coach, they came as a package deal. Doesn't mean the coach is Teflon Don. Don't get me wrong, because anything can happen here. And even last year, I don't know how close they were to pushing him out, but they sent a warning. He got him back to the playoffs. He got his extension. They're in it lockstep. It's a family deal. And Dolan says, as long as we're going according to plan, things are going well right now. He's locked in. They've got the plan. Now it's up to the players to connect with the coach. That's what he's saying. You guys be the judge. And, hey, he said Leon was doing a good job. And I think he is so far. So here's Jalen asking Brunson, have you always been that way? Here we go.
Like letting the GM or the president do whatever they want to do. Like since the time you took over to like now, has it always been that way? Or
no. I had to learn along the way. We want to go over that, really?
You don't have to. You don't have to. Hey, like I said, this is your show. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, there were times when sort of reach for that shiny, sparkly object, right? They said maybe this is what we need. Especially
Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson. Terrible. Phil just wanted the bag, but go ahead.
Especially when things were not going well, right? Let's bring in this guy and maybe he'll turn it all around for us. Sometimes it's a player, sometimes it's a coach, right, et cetera. And what I've learned over time is that doesn't work. No, it really doesn't. Right? You really have to do the fundamentals, the basics. You got to build the team. You got to build the organization. Right? It does not. There is no, waving the wand over a team and making it, all of a sudden a great team. It doesn't happen.
Was there ever a trade?
All right, we're gonna get to that part on the trade. Look, this was good. This was good awareness and good reflection by Dolan. We don't have to rehash on all the previous bad moves that were made in the organization, but those who are fans of the organization know that the 20 years prior to this, it was basically slapping lipstick on a pig. He was trusting of Isaiah for a while until Isaiah ran this thing into the ground. Mortgage in the future. And, to be honest, I wasn't mad at some of the moves that Isaiah made. I loved when Steph came here. I love when Jamal Crawford came here. I love when he took a gamble on a young Eddie Curry. I like those moves. I like when he went out and got Zebo. I like those moves. I hated to see Francis trade. Some Mo Taylor, Payne Mo Taylor and all of that. Those are bad things. Again, we don't need to rehash, but Dolan trusted him. He put the faith in Isaiah. But then they went out, they got Larry Brown. Not a bad thing. Turned out to be terrible. Later on, they went out and got D'Antoni. Again, coming off of Phoenix, D'Antoni wasn't a bad thing. They made the playoffs when D'Antoni got here. You had the Linsanity run. So there were some positives. I didn't like how D'Antoni treated Steph. I hated that. See, Steph came into camp in the best shape of his life, and D'Antoni alienated him. Hated that. Definitely froze out Steph. The bad drafts and all of that. So he's made his mistakes. The Phil thing, complete disaster. He got desperate. Phil just wanted the bag, and it was a complete disaster. But I did like the fact that Dolan corrected that mistake fast. He showed him the door. The fans got out there. They started protesting. Showed him the door quick. Steve Mills, another trusted advisor, wasn't getting it done. The Kristaps thing kind of put a blunder on the organization again. You had the Melo trade situation with Donnie Walsh, like a lot of things. But I say all that to say he's trusting Leon's process. Leon so far has done a good job in terms of putting the team together, I think, so far. Now, we'll see what's up with the Bridges trade and the Towns trade and where that gets them. But remember, you're trying to win a championship. And the one thing, though, with Dolan is that he's not really draft focused. And I'll get to more of that when he talks about how he met with Leon and them. But I think in the process, given that, RJ wasn't bringing them much in terms of championship pedigree, Obi wasn't either. They had to flip those guys. They had to flip quick, get lucky with Brunson and a couple of pieces to really put themselves in this position. There's still a lot that's left to be done. But I think that, it's not easy in this league to build a championship contender when it's not being led by a homegrown pick. So I think in terms of having to flip this thing over, they've done a good job there. I really do. Okay, back to you, Jalen Brunson. Here we go.
Or signing where it didn't happen, but you really wish it did?
Yeah, a long time ago. I gotta even remember. He ended up playing for the Nets. Right. Oh shoot, great scorer.
That's great scorer.
It wasn't Grant Hill. It was a guy out of Toronto.
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter. Right. Mm-hmm. Vince Carter. Right. It's a great example. Right. We were going to do the trade. Oh, this is old. And the medical team came back and told us that he had a 90% severed Achilles tendon, right? And that it would never hold up, right? And that if once it ruptured, right, he'd never be the same player. And for that reason,
didn't happen.
We didn't do the trade, right?
Wow.
And then Vince Carter went on to have 5, 6, 7 years. I kept waiting for his Achilles tendon to break. It never broke. No.
He was hanging on for dear life.
He's putting in 30, 40 a night. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm like, well, we certainly dodged a bullet there, didn't we?
So he didn't remember Vince Carter's name, but he didn't remember Larry Brown's name either. So, it is what it is. Hey, man, listen, as you get older, you start to forget things. I'm starting to forget things myself. Now, that was interesting because that made headlines and everything around, the NBA media sphere about the Knicks mistraded for Vince Carter in 2004. Vince Carter was ultimately traded to the New Jersey Nets for like Eric Williams, Aaron Williams, Alonzo Mourning, which is more like a contract thing, and 2 first-round picks. However, in doing some research, because this is what we do here in the number one show for the fans by the fans, how accurate or how close were they really to trading for Vince Carter? Now, according to Mark Berman, friend of the program, he's now retired down in South Florida, but still, takes the liberty to trash the team whenever he can. According to Mark Berman, this is December 20th of 2004, New York Post. Carter to the Knicks never had a chance. According to Mark, it said that that Toronto GM Rob Babcock believed that the Nets' pair of first-round picks were key to accepting the offer. And in fact, the Raptors may have just been using Isaiah Thomas to drive up offers elsewhere. The Knicks, because of the Stepien rule, were not permitted to trade that year's first-round pick because they had given up the last year's pick in the Starberry trade. So the Knicks, according to Berman, really didn't have the assets to go get Vince Carter anyway. So I thought that was interesting. That was interesting. Hey, maybe they were entertaining it, but according to Berman, the Knicks really didn't have the assets to go get Vince, and the Nets did. They got the 2 first-round picks out of the deal, and they got him there. So this was just a random interesting quote. This is from 2004. This is kind of like the side note in the New York Post. It says Allen Houston had no problem sitting out the final 7 minutes with the game close. Houston agreed with Lenny Wilkins. His small forward matchup against Matt Harpring was too difficult because his knees aren't strong enough yet to hold him off. It's a tough matchup. You got to get your legs under you at least to hold your ground. I just didn't have it. It's a process for me. This is when Houston had the arthritic knees and he was pretty much cooked. At 2 games over 500, at this point, nobody's worried about that. Allen Houston, Lenny Wilkins, and Matt Harpring in a newspaper article. 10 points in 21 minutes. Ah, man. Hey, Knicks fans, remember these days. Remember these days. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Berman says they didn't have the assets to go get Vince. Okay. All right, what's next that I wanted to get to? Oh, this was the next topic was compartmentalizing fandom. Okay, here we go. This is James Dolan on the Roommates pod, TP the franchise, KnicksFanTV. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up on the Free Boys. Here we go.
To make these decisions, or
let me go back a little bit.
Merchants must have an merchant.
Let me get at it.
probably get in the way? Like, was there ever a point where you're like, I have to put my fandom aside to make these decisions, or
how do you compartmentalize that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you push that to the side?
Well, it is what you said, right? Yes, you have to put your fandom aside, right? Otherwise, I mean, you drive yourself nuts, to be honest. But it's what I said before. I mean, the first thing you should realize as an owner is that you don't know the game and the sport like your GMs and your coaches, et cetera. You gotta. That's important, right? Because if you think you do, your team's in for a very bad year or years.
you talking about the Dallas Cowboys?
I'm not saying nothing, but I think that's the first
crazy.
thing. If I was talking to a new owner, that'd be the first thing I said. You think you know basketball, you think you know all this, right? And I'm sure you're pretty smart at it, et cetera, right? But these guys who you hired, right, to do this, spent their whole lives doing it, right? They know it inside and out. They know it better than you, right? So your job as the owner is to support them, right, and help them, through the process by doing things like, okay, right, let's lay out a plan for the next 3 years, and let's talk about how it's going to go, and then keep parroting it back to them, et cetera, and trying to keep them on their own plan. Because everybody gets that, shiny object thing, right, et cetera. And, that's what you have to guard against. You have to be part of that, the guardrails for that.
So I think this is him. This is, again, reflection time for James Dolan, right? Because from everything that we've heard, from the Knicks to the Sphere, he's hands-on with it. He wants to be locked in. We've all heard about the rumors that, he sidestepped Donnie Walsh, said, I got to get Melo in here now. Damn Timothy Mozgov, put him in the deal too, packed up the kids and get him up out of here. We need Melo here. So I think this is him kind of learning from previous mistakes. As Nostalgic Nick says in the chat, new Dolan. This was a reflection time in this segment. And as he said, now it's time to support the 3-year plan. I think he's talking about Leon now. To support them, give them whatever they need. You need the resources. You need the medical staff. They just hired Casey Smith from Dallas Mavericks, things of that nature. We need to, G League support team, development team, supporting from afar. But I'm going to trust you, Leon, with the plan, and Wes, to get the job done. I think that was him reflecting on past mistakes. on past mistakes. And Anthony Parasol in the chat, I'm with you. He says, imagine believing he doesn't care about winning titles. I never believed that for a second. I think he's made blunders. Absolutely. All of that is pretty evident. But to say the guy doesn't care about winning, would you rather have him or would you rather have the lady that's got the Dallas Mavericks right now? Mavericks fans are ready to riot. I never believed that for a second with Dolan. I think he does want to win. And the move just hasn't been right. Let's see if Leon and these guys can get the job done. Okay. All right, so that was a good segment there. All right, now here he is talking about how he got up with Leon Rose, how Leon Rose became part of the family here. Here we go.
All the way through the progression.
Speaking of, you said that you never know basketball as much as your GM or your president or whatever. Would love to hear, to the extent that you can share, like some behind the scenes about how the whole Leon thing came about, because as three people who've
know what no one's ever really that I recall. I don't ever recall talking about that
because we've owned obviously Jalen's known him since he was a baby. Josh and I have known him. He was both of their agents.
Here's how the Leon thing happened.
We found out when the rest of the world found out. So
right.
I didn't even get a call. Leon was like, "Oh, I'm not your agent anymore." I'm like, "All right, thanks."
Well, look, we were coming out of an era, I think, where we were down that progression. And I did a lot of thinking about the team and about the league and et cetera, and how to try and be successful. And it really seemed to me that the difference between the teams that are successful and the ones that are unsuccessful is the talent inside the team, right? You guys, that's the difference, right? The teams that win have great talent, right? And lots of it, et cetera. They also have a plan, et cetera. But the hardest thing to do is particularly in the NBA, is to attract talent, right? To get talent all in one place. So who would be the best guy you could find in order to bring talent to your team? Well, at the time, who was the number one basketball agent in the NBA?
Leon Rose.
Leon Rose. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew Leon. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get Leon Rose to do this.
What was that conversation like?
I'm gonna pause it right there, because remember when Leon got here, and this is why I say, like, you got to get lucky in the game. When Leon got here, we weren't thinking, go get Jalen Brunson. Yes, it was about Karl-Anthony Towns, but remember, it was about, can we get CP3, Embiid, big stars, Kevin Durant, like big stars. That's what we were talking about here with the Leon Rose acquisition. And that's what attracted Dolan to Leon Rose. I want the star agent that could go get me players. But this was more on the free agency side, or maybe even the trade side. But it wasn't about go to get Brunson and Hart and Towns, which is still working well for the team. Dolan was still in the shiny object thing. He just wanted to go get the guy who can go get him, because the past guys couldn't go get him. Anthony Davis, right? So it's just very funny how that plan still never came through to fruition. And in the Embiid case, Knicks are fortunate. So it's just funny. Drafting was never, he never said anything about draft. Or he never said nothing about draft. Forget the kids. Get me the shiny objects, because we couldn't get them. We couldn't get LeBron. We couldn't get KD and them. You go get him. And he hasn't, but he got his godson, who's turned into a superstar in this league. It's just funny how things work out, man. Very funny how things work out. It's back to Dolan.
Was short. He was ready.
He's like, the Knicks or Jalen and Josh?
I actually talked to Wes first, right? No, because those two are like a pair.
West, Worldwide West. We still don't know what he does. He's got the job like Tommy from Martin. We don't know what his job is. He spoke to West first. Think about that. Back to it. Here we go.
Right.
Yeah.
And Wes like called me back like an hour later. Says, you should do this.
Oh wow.
Was there any part of you a little nervous because he was never in that role before?
Well, I used to work in sales, and one of my favorite things that we used to say in sales is you can't fall off the floor. Right. At that point, we were on the floor.
That's a fair way to put it.
I like that motto.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I remember Leon. When he said, obviously after the news came out, he was like, I didn't know I would want to do this, but this is one place where it's a no-brainer to do it, being in New York. And so, I remember he was excited. I mean, I wasn't excited because don't get to talk to Leon anymore. He's done a great job, and I'm happy for him because I mean, to see him in the element he's in now, he looks so comfortable, and I don't know, he's been doing a great job.
Yeah. So that was their thoughts on Leon. I thought he has been doing a good job as well so far. It's going to be how the next part is hard. The next phase of the plan is hard in terms of putting this championship piece together. But so far, so good. Okay, I think this is the last segment because they get into like a lot of other stuff the leading by example part. I'll get to that. All right, so here's Dolan on how the plan is going with Leon Rose. Here we go.
Yeah, like that wasn't easy, but
Where do we sit now relative to that plan that you guys spoke about 3 years ago? Like, how is it veered? How has it stayed the same?
We're kind of there.
Really?
I mean, yeah. I mean that actually, I think Cat was sort of the last piece, and yeah, I mean, think that we're. I mean, I'm not expecting any significant changes, right? But now I think it's all up to these guys and the coach, et cetera, to make it happen, right? I don't know. Do you think we're missing any pieces?
That's a trap question.
I didn't mean it that way.
No. I said this the other day. Like, we have the pieces. Like, we have everything that we need from like a personnel standpoint. Like you said, we just need to put it together, and that takes time, and then that takes chemistry, that takes failure, that takes.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience to kind of go through this, and so we have the personnel. It's just like, how can we just mesh it? We're meshing. I'm not saying we're so disconnected, but like, we still got to get closer and have more chemistry and be more together on the court, and that just comes with time.
And if we can avoid injuries, right? Because that messes up the timeline, et cetera. I mean, just getting Mitch back, right, is big.
Big piece.
Right. I mean, but now, I mean, nobody's played with Mitch for a year since last May.
Yep.
Right. They got to get it all figured out.
Yeah.
Right. And it's it feels like it's kind of a puzzle where you change one piece, it changes all the other pieces. Mm-hmm. Right. So we got to figure all that out.
All right, so that was a big one right there. That was a big one. He pretty much told you he's not expecting any big changes for the foreseeable future. This core is pretty much going to be together. Brunson is here. Hart's not going nowhere. Towns isn't going nowhere. Forget about Towns for Giannis and all of that. Forget about that. Even if you think about like Bridges, you think after they just traded 5 picks for Bridges that they just going to flip? What are you going to flip him for? OG, they just paid the dog. What are you going to flip him for? So unless, I don't even know unless situation, because who's the guy really that's going to be out there that can really change this thing where you can afford to deplete your depth for him? Is it Giannis? Like, does a Giannis move make sense? What do you guys think in the chat? Let's keep it a bean. Kevin Durant doesn't, like, I don't see that. At this stage in the game, the KD ship, just like the LeBron ship, that is passed, in my opinion. He says that guy in Milwaukee. Okay, so are we trading Cat for Giannis now? And do we know that Giannis is going to request that trade now? And do we know that the Knicks are going to be able to say, here's Karl Anthony Towns for Giannis 1-for-1? When you got, this is what I'm trying to tell you. I can name at least 5 teams in the NBA right now that can say, I'll give you young players and draft picks for Giannis right now. The Milwaukee Bucks would be foolish to just trade Giannis for Karl Anthony Towns 1-for-1. The Knicks would probably be the last team in the league with an enticing offer. They have no young players to offer. They have no draft picks to offer. This is why we can't just be stuck in 2K trades. I don't see that happening. So Dolan knows. And as he said, failure is part of it. So it sounds like he's ready to be patient with this version of the Knicks. And it's like I said, while the core will be intact, if this thing does not work, the first head to fall is going to be Tibbs. Now, a lot of you guys are ready to see that happen right now, right? A lot of you guys are ready to do it right now with 16 games left in the season. But to me, my opinion, that's a next season thing. To me, that's a next season thing. I think the core sticks together. They've got to get the bench right. Because you guys swear this bench just needs a coach. This snap campaign and Landry Shamet into formidable guys. Just look at everybody else's bench, how they're doing. Then they give you 4 points in Golden State. Coach, get the bench together. Coaching change. Then you try to figure out, is there something in the core that we've got to work on? In the meantime, you got to get the kids activated. Kolek, Dadier, Hukporti, McCullers. I'd like to see what the two-way kid can do. Beauchamp. They got another second-round pick. Go get another guard, another big man, another two-guard. Got to get the bench right. You get more money in the salary cap. You go get another salary cap exemption type player. Can you get another DiVincenzo type? Can you get DiVincenzo back? Who knows? Do I think there's a chance of Devo coming back? I mean, he's on an $11 million contract. Like, he would have to take a pay cut, I think, to come back here. But anything's possible. But some of you guys really think that, you know, this bench is just like a new coach can just snap these guys in the put. No. But as Dolan said, it seems like when you move in one piece, everything else shifts. And he's talking about the Towns trade. The bench is the depth is depleted. The depth is depleted, guys. So they've got to get that back. But that's why I do agree that, you know, some of the younger guys, we got to see what they look like, man. Kolek, Hukporti. I think McCullers is going to be a next year thing. He's stuck in the G League. And you'll give him another full offseason to get right. So Kolek, McCullough, Hukporti. You get another real veteran. With that exception, as Anthony Parasol says, the cap is going to go up. That's why it's going to take another cycle, right? Then, when you say, okay, we've upgraded the bench now, this should be much better than this year. Now, Tibbs, you got to get this thing done. Or we got to start looking elsewhere. Then we see where we go from there. You know, you may be losing Precious this year. Some of you guys will say, hey, good. But, you know, Precious could be a goner this year. But I say that to say, you know, Dolan, no, he's in lockstep with Leon and the plan. He knows what's going on. All right. Let me see if there's anything more on this part. Here we go. Let's see if anything's more on this part.
You figure it out on the court.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I think the fans, right, as much as they want it, like, you know, every day, right?
Yep.
They are on this journey with you, right? They do see it, right? They do, right? And I mean, I feel it. I feel like the team is growing, and I think the fans see the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I agree for sure, and they let us know.
Yeah,
They let us know.
They definitely know.
Can you even go into a restaurant in New York?
That's when they talk about I can go here and, you know, with the fans and stuff. Okay, so that part. Yeah, I thought that was a good conversation there. And then the last part, he just kind of bigs up Brunson for leading by example. I don't want to really get into that. That's not really much to react to. But they do talk about, you know, it's kind of refreshing to see Brunson leading by example, whereas in the past, he does go in on Carmelo a little bit, saying that, you know, he didn't really have a player who can elevate the team and make the team better. That was basically what that last part I wanted to get into. And then he talked about the sphere and ownership and things of that nature. But that was kind of the bread and butter of the interview. I thought it was a good interview. And like I said, it was refreshing to see Dolan do a platform like this that didn't seem scripted. Every other time he's done interviews in the past, he's come out with like prepared statements. You got to come out authentic. And he went on their podcast. I thought that put him in a good light. Try to change the perception of him. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take this team winning a championship or getting to the finals at least before his reputation really changes. Anthony Parasol says Dolan should do a few interviews a year. He would be more relatable to the fan base if he gives it up a lot in his interviews. If he did, he gives up a lot in his interviews. Yeah, he should come to KnicksFanTV, right? He should come through to the number one show for the fans by the fans. I think so. Come through. You guys already think I'm on a payroll, so we might as well, you know, just make it official. Bring Jimmy D up to KFTV. We'll do it. We'll leave the light on for him. You know, we'll make it happen. Hey, you never know. Never say never, man. Never say never, man. The franchise will deliver. Nah, but you know what? Good interview, though. Good interview. Dev says, I need that towel. KnicksFanTV.com. So you can get your rally towel for the fans, by the fans. Like, I'm just carrying this around, man. This is the money time towel, man. This is the money time towel. But yeah, you guys can get yours at KnicksFanTV.com, man. You know what it is. So to everybody in the chat, great show. We'll be back tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow for the Bleacher Report show. I think we'll be doing Court Vision. My guy Bailey's going to come back through tomorrow. We'll start a little bit later. We got Knicks versus Heat tomorrow as well. So we got a good show ahead. Franchise channel members, salute to you guys, man. A lot of you guys are in here every show. Shout out to TM. He says, click on the pinned message to shop the KFTV shop. Shout out to TM. Yeah, shop the shop, man. Oh, the gritty tees were flying off the shelf, man. I don't know if that was Mike Breen that gave us the boost. But I had to pack up a ton of gritty tees to go out. We sent some of these to San Antonio, to Florida, Jersey, North Carolina. So shout out to everybody that's been copping the gritty tees. On the shop is free shipping for all orders over $100. So that's a good deal there. It is hoodie season. We're working on some new colors as well. Obviously, you got the for the fans, by the fans joints. You know what I'm saying? You got the For the Fans, By the Fans hoodies. Shout out to my guys, man. Shout out to TM. Anyway, you know where I'm going after this. Back to sleep. Yeah, back to sleep, man. But shout out to everybody who tapped in. Salute to the replay gang. And what else? What else did I want to say here? Yeah, salute to the replay gang. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Yeah, great show. Shout out to Anthony. Dr. D-Roy, salute. Big up yourself. Timothy S. Dantzler, salute to you, man. Franchise channel member, salute. Kara, really appreciate you. Isaac Blancafor, salute. He said, yeah, Mike Breen been doing KFTV shout-outs, man. For sure. William Burton, I see you in there. I see you in there also. Yeah, David Duncan, the orange hoodies. We are dropping the orange hoodies this week. They are at the manufacturer, so we're going to update the site with the orange hoodies. We got a couple more drops to do. People want the dad hats too, so I'm working on that as well. Working on the dad hats as well. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on there. Also, for any of you guys that are middle school parents, you got middle schoolers out there, especially in the tri-state area. If you guys need a math tutor, shout out to the Knicks Chick, man. This weekend, we are going to be offering free tutoring sessions sponsored by the Knicks Chick, man. One of the best math teachers in the entire country. I don't just say that because she's my woman, but she does great work. And, yeah, free tutoring sessions, man. So for you guys that have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, you know, you got the algebra regions coming up. You might be prepping for the New York high school exams, the specialized high school exams, SAT prep. Go to courtsidemath.com and click on the link to sign up, man. Free tutoring sessions for you guys. And again, this is the For the Fans, By the Fans movement. Courtsidemath.com. And you see this white bar here. Click here to reserve your time slot, man. A free 30-minute session. And she gets your kid right. A 99% pass rate. That's right. 99% pass rate. So shout out to my lady, man, doing the damn thing. And, yeah, courtsidemath.com is where you guys want to go. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember that the show's available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. And have a great week, people. Hopefully this podcast will get your week off right, man. We out of here. Peace.